Hello YouTube and Multitool people, I'm Joe, you're watching my channel Ink&Iron, and I'm here with a initial impressions of this very strange looking multi-tool. This is a Schrade Tough, and I got it in an eBay auction along with another tool. I can't remember which one it was partnered with, but yeah, I'd never seen this before. So let's talk about it. The Schrade Tough, I don't think they make it anymore, but they are still available as like new old stock. It is locking. It does unfold like this and becomes like really, really long. Let me show you. In terms of inches, almost like 7 inches long, and that is about 17.5 centimeters. It's very long. It's actually longer than the Surge, and in terms of like width, when it's all folded up, it is definitely like larger in this dimension and longer than the Surge. So a weirdly big tool. Mine did not come with a sheath, so I'm not sure how they intended this to be carried, but it clearly doesn't have a pocket clip or an external lanyard hole. So yeah, probably in a pouch. The hardware on here is riveted. You're really not ever going to get it apart, so this is not great mod fodder, if you will. When you unfold the handles, you get a look at the plier head, and mine definitely needed some work. Has this weird, like, over molded design. Right down here, there's sort of extra steel riveted on here. Sort of reminds me of the Gerber Dual Force, if we needed a modern comparison. Yeah, and then comes to like a super fine point, like really tapers down. So very interesting. The teeth are cut pretty well. I did not put the wear on these. These are used, so someone else did. Got a little bit chewed up. In terms of nut turning or bolt turning, let's see. This is a 5/8 brass nut, and yeah, probably about as big as you'd want to go. The handles get pretty wide, especially since they're so long, but it's doable. The cutters on here were pretty beat up. I actually had to file them down a little bit to get the jaws to sort of unlock. They were like hanging up on each other because of the deformed steel on the cutter heads there. So we're gonna do a little easy test here for it. Gonna take a zip tie and just feed it up through there and see if we can't cut it. Yeah, not all the way. There's a little thread hanging on, but I'll call that a decent cut. It did better than the Leatherman Sidekick, if you saw my review for that. Got a stationary pivot with a very interesting little, see if I can show you, interesting little, metal worker, someone pounding an anvil. Not sure what that's about. I don't think any of this stuff is forged, but I don't know. I didn't do any real research on this. The handles are kind of interesting. They are formed from a singular piece of metal, kind of folded together. Kind of reminds me of the Gerber Suspension NXT, where yeah, they tried and just stamp the handles out of one piece of steel and then sort of mold it around the tool. So kind of interesting. Makes for a fairly comfortable grip because the corners have to be sort of this rounded shape. So yeah, you can really get a good squeeze on these. It does have some kind of a traction plan here, if you will. Some little speed bumps to kind of help your hand grip on there. And then the tool set. The tool set is kind of fascinating. So let's take a close look at this. On the outside here, there's a notch cut through the first tool so you can access the second tool. But the first tool, oops, a little bit of clumping action there for you. First tool is a file. It does not lock. This one's just a slip joint, and that'll vary as we keep going, so keep your eye out. Single cut on this side, edge file, double cut. Overall, not bad. If you're using the edge file, they put it on the correct side so that you are actively keeping the tool open as you go and use it. So that's nice. It's also extremely smooth to open, and the tools clump out together. So access is pretty good on this tool overall. Here is a knife blade, and I don't know if you could see that, but this little piece of steel in the back here sprung open and now is locking the blade in place. So yeah, it is locked. It does have a partial serration as well as a plain edge. You can see I have not touched this up. Whoever the previous owner was definitely went hard on it. And it is a chisel grind, so just totally flat on the back with a singular bevel on here. Overall, the knife blade shape reminds me of a Leatherman, more like the PST, if you saw my review of that. Very similar, but no hollow grind. It is a just a steep flat grind on one side, and again just sort of like flat on the back, although it is tapered slightly. All right. It took me a while to figure out how to disengage the locked tools on here, and it came down to me wondering what the heck was up with these humped tools, because they don't need a hump, right? This is like a cutting edge right here, like a package opener. It needs a curved blade, but it doesn't need this hump on the back for any particular reason. So I was wondering what was going on, and then I realized if you depress the hump, right, you push down, it puts back pressure on this lock. So you can see it springing open, and even the blade starting to come closed as I put pressure on it. So that is how you disengage the lock on this thing. It took me probably a good 3 or 4 days to figure that out. I was just muscling things closed and being like, this is a horrible tool. So yeah, this is actually the second time I've shot this little mini review. Here's a package opener. It doesn't work particularly well. I have tried it. What it really needs is more of a point here to start the cut, and then you can continue it with this curved edge profile there. And again, just cut on the one side. This one you have to be a little delicate with because you can sort of push it over the top of the handle there. So just make sure that seats all the way. Here's a, interestingly enough, 2-dimensional Phillips head, and it does lock in as well. So you can see that's pretty stiff there, which is good. You want a driver to lock. Gerber, if you're watching my obscure tool reviews, why don't you go ahead and make your drivers lock? Anyway, it does have some sort of texturing notches on there, maybe to help with grip. I have seen, full-size screwdrivers try and do that. And yeah, kind of flares out at the end there. Kind of interesting. So yeah, there you go. There's your Phillips or crosshead driver. Go ahead and depress that tool again, and then you can fold this closed. And then the last tool here, not amazingly accessible, because there's just kind of this notch at the end, but yeah, it is a can opener. Have not used it. Sort of a knockoff of the Leatherman pull style can opener. It probably works okay. I'm not super inclined to test it. I've already done a can opener test if you want to check that out on my channel. This is, on the other handle, a small flat bladed screwdriver, which I actually broke. Yeah, you can see just the raw steel in there. It did go out probably to, let me use this penny to indicate how long it was. It was probably about to there. Very fine point, and it was slightly deformed, so I took another pair of pliers and tried to just get it back to flat, just put a little torque on it, and it snapped right off. So yeah, that was my bad. Could probably grind this down to a usable flat driver again if I wanted to, but I don't see myself hard using this tool. This one locks into place. This is another driver, big flat head driver. It's ground only on the one side, and it also has a wire stripping notch. Have not really tested it. I don't do a lot of wire stripping. Again, you press the tool with the hump and disengage the lock. Here's a flat blade, just sort of a straight cutting utility blade there. Haven't used this. Previous owner clearly didn't use it as much as the partially serrated blade, probably because this one doesn't lock. Not sure why you wouldn't have this blade lock, but okay, sure, Schrade. This one also comes very close to the handle. You can feel it rubbing a little bit. All right, final two tools. The saw, and the saw locks up just fine. It's a little wiggly, but you know, it's a light duty saw. It'll do. It is ground properly, the spine being thinner than the teeth to allow for a proper kerf. It does seem to cut in both directions, although probably cuts a little bit more on the pull stroke. Yeah, go ahead and depress that hump and put your saw back. You can see the saw also likes to grab the edge. There's a little bit of wear right there on the handle, as you can see. And our final tool, if I can get my nail in here. There we go, just got it. That notch needs to be just a fraction closer to the edge. But this is a ruler, specifically a depth gauge. So, you know, a la Leatherman's tools as well. Looks like 6 centimeters or 2.5 inches. It's okay. There's really nothing going on the back side, so it kind of feels a little bit like an afterthought, bit of a filler tool. Also does not lock in place. Yeah, maybe could have done something with this backside. I don't know. I'm not a tool designer. I just do reviews. So anyway, that's the Schrade Tough. A big, wide, weird multi-tool, but at a very affordable price of like 30 USD, even now here in 2022. Thanks for joining me. If you want to see more content like this, like, sub, do the things. I've got plenty more tools, as well as fountain pens, writing stuff, typewriters. I do what I want. It's a vlog. And yeah, catch you on the next one. Bye.